Hello and welcome to the Next Gen Racing YouTube channel for our Punchestown Festival preview, which we're really looking forward to bringing you guys. It's our last real national hunt preview of the season. Obviously, we had the Sandown finale on Saturday, which was an excellent meeting. Paul Nicholls bringing up the five-timer there. But this is really the end of the Irish national hunt season. We have some superb racing looking at the declarations that we've got over in Punchestown. As always, do check out Star Sports Down in the description and go have a look at their website. They've got some excellent offers on this week. And Jack, you're back. You've been prepping hard for this week, I'm hoping. We've got quite a few races to get through for the first 4 days of the festival, so we'll preview the weekend racing in our weekend preview on Friday. But are you looking forward to the week?
I can't wait. Yeah, there's usually a few kind of up in the air results. You look last year when Colreevy beat both Envoy and Monkfish. There's always one or two surprises in there. We got a few decent matchups. There's some serious head-to-heads going on this week, and yeah, I can't wait. Of course, we do have Goodwood and Ascot as well this week, so yeah, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I've actually got Goodwood just behind me. I don't know how clear it is in the picture, but Goodwood, it's the start of Goodwood season actually coming out this week. And obviously, we have Royal Ascot Trials Day on Wednesday as well. Looking forward to that. But like Jack said, there has been a few shocks at this meeting. I think sometimes this can come kind of because horses are having quite a long season. A few of them have come to the end of their season. You know, you get those horses who are just kind of out the picture, just kind of squeezing in and coming in at big prices during the Punchestown Festival. And hopefully we'll probably find you a few at decent price. And we'll kick off with the Tuesday with the 4:15. This is the Be Active Stud Champion Novice Hurdle, Grade 1 over 2 miles. And this is an interesting one here because Sir Garhard's roughly your 8-13 favourite in here, and obviously we spoke about this horse Jack as a potential supreme horse at our official Cheltenham preview evening. Dysart Dynamo was the one that I ended up siding with in the supreme. That horse in here at 15-8. Great to see Mullins taking two of his big guns going up against each other. Mighty Potter, he really disappointed in the supreme. He's 8-1. Vina Danza, that horse is 33, and Gatsby Grey 50-1. I mean, Jack, I mentioned there about us both siding with Sir Gerhard in the 2 mile division at Cheltenham if he were to go there. Obviously, he went and won the Ballymore in the end, but surely we can't leave him here.
Oh yeah, 100%. I know that the old cliche gets thrown about, but I do think it looks like a penalty kick here. I think he's an absolutely outstanding talent. He's so versatile. I mean, I think his pedigree kind of pointed towards speed, but he stayed like anything in the Ballymore. He kind of put Three Stripe Life to the sword on the last twice, both over 2 miles and over the Ballymore trip as well. And of course, Three Stripe Life came out and won the Grade 1 at Aintree. I think he's an outstanding talent. He's beaten the plenty, he has a lot of class. I think he hurdles well. Of course, he had a little hiccup on his penultimate start, but I think he's a very good jumper. And yeah, I can't wait to go and see him. Hopefully, do the business here. I think he's probably going to do it, and hopefully do it relatively comfortably.
Yeah, I think he does look like the likely winner. He's not a bet at 8-13, obviously, but I think he's going to do it. I mean, with regards to Dysart Dynamo, it was an unfortunate fall. I don't think he was going to finish anywhere close to Constitution Hill on Supreme Day. What did we make of Mighty Potter, Jack? I know I did mention there that he disappointed in the Supreme, but there was a jump down the back where I think he just landed on all fours and it really halted his sort of running, and it kind of ruined the race for him. Again, another horse I don't think was going to get close in that Supreme, but potentially you might see a little bit better from here.
Yeah, you'd hope so, wouldn't you? But I don't know what it is, but for some reason I do have a bit of prejudice against kind of Gordon Elliott 2 mile novice hurdlers. Of course, Ballyadam couldn't jump last year. You got Mighty Potter this year. They seem to make they seem to make way too many errors in comparison to the Willie Mullins novices, and it does cost them in these kind of races. I don't think he'll have the class, but he may be able to kind of sneak a second or perhaps even a third.
Okay, yeah, Jack, both and I are agreeing with Sir Gerhard again. Not a bet in here, but he is the most likely winner, and I think they genuinely do feel that he could be a champion hurdle contender for next season. Right, let's move on now to the 5:25 on the Tuesday. This is the 2 mile champion chase. It's a Grade 1, and Enegamine, your champion chase winner from Cheltenham, is in here as an 8-11 favourite. Chacun Pour Soi 13-8, Andy Dufresne 16-1, Envoy 16-1, and Captain Guinness 33-1. Now, this is a really fascinating one. Again, great to see Mullins putting two of his big guns up against each other. And Enegamina, kind of you could say a bit of a fortunate winner of the champion chase in some ways. The fact that, you know, the ground went against a lot of horses. Shishkin underperformed. Chacun Pour Soi, unfortunately, was unseated. And I think Energumene is a very classy horse, Jack, but I've got a feeling just with regards to it being at Punchestown, we say this sort of horses on their home turf, but this horse here, Jacques and Poursois, seems to love this course, and I actually think he could throw up a bit of a shock to the favourite.
Yeah, I really do think Shaq and Poursois will be able to turn over Energumene here. It's partly a price thing, but I also think he definitely has the class. Willie Mullins has said it time and time again. He doesn't like travelling. He doesn't really like Cheltenham. And to be fair, before he unseated, I thought he was pretty much foot perfect out front in the champion chase. It almost just kind of looked like a freak mistake. He doesn't have to travel, of course. We saw what he did last year. Yes, Energumene did take it up and do it very comfortably, but I'm not too sure I want to kind of trust that champion chase form as of yet, of course, with Envoy Allen, Fernando Cervelo in behind. So I'm not too sure how strong that piece of form was. Of course, the ground was grueling that day as well. May have taken quite a bit out of him. I don't think that we'll probably see a mark of that at all come the champion chase. But I do think Chacun Poursois is probably actually the one to beat here. He loves it round here, as you say. I thought he was foot perfect. And if he shows that engine as he did last year when beating Alaho and Nube Negra in good style, I think he's going to be tough to catch.
They're both course and distance winners, and it is fascinating. But it is the fact that Jacques Poursois has run here plenty and really performed at this course. And I just think that he was running a really decent race at Cheltenham before unseating. I genuinely thought he was even though we were down the back straight, I genuinely thought he might go and win this the way that he was travelling at one stage. And I just think that he still retains a lot of ability. I mean, one horse that I do just quickly want to talk about from the weekend, Jack, is your beloved Nube Negra, who didn't run in that champion chase. But I'm actually going to say something to you that you might not like, but I don't think Nube Negra now is as good as everyone thought he was. Do you think that's a fair statement with regards to him?
No, not really. I don't know. I think we kind of saw a little bit of a brave man's game. I think he was taken to Cheltenham. He was prepared for the race. He wasn't actually, although he was fresh in terms, he didn't really get the run. I don't actually know if his prep was fresh. I think it was still a very quick turnaround from Cheltenham. I wouldn't be surprised if Dan comes out and says about that. He didn't really like the railway fences at all. He was off the bridle very early, and of course Grenadine loved them as he did in the Tingle Creek. He loves Cheltenham. He loves good ground. I'm sure he'll win the Schlur next year. Is he as good as he was probably when he was going to the champion chase? Maybe not. He's probably going to be, I think he's probably, is he 9 next year or 10 next year? So he's probably not going to be at the peak of his powers, but I think it's a little bit harsh for people saying he's not as good as they thought he was. I think there were a couple of excuses in there, and maybe he just doesn't like Sandown.
He's a horse that I do really love, and I know that you've got a real love for him. I just think that potentially he's slightly overrated in some people's eyes. But look, it's a game of opinions, and that's the way we move forward. Right, and let's move on to a 3 mile novice chase. This is the 6:35 at Punchestown on the Tuesday, and this is the what is it? The Dooley Insurance Group champion at novice chase, a Grade One, 5-year-olds plus, and Bob Ollinger steps up in trip, 11-10 favourite in here. Capodanno is 11-4. Fury Road 15-2. I think that's a big price. Miller's Bank 10-1. Lifetime Ambition 11s. Beacon Edge 12s. And Ballyshannon Roses 20-1. I suppose we've got to start with the favourite here because this horse here ended up winning at Cheltenham. Obviously, wasn't going to. Galopin de Champ was going to throw this horse to the sword. And I just think that potentially, Jack, Bob Ollinger now might be wanting this trip, but you're taking a bit of a gamble if you are looking. I mean, it's a fairly short price at 11-10 for a horse who's stepping up in trip against horses who are proven stayers.
Yeah, 100%. A lot of people are suggesting that this Devon trip is going to sort out his jumping. It may do, of course, that the longer trip may be able to when he's not going to be attacking his fences as much. But I mean, at 5-4, 6-5, I think you have to take him on. It's a huge if he's going to relish this step up and trip. And you've got the likes of a seasoned 3 miler in Fury Road there, and also Capodanno. I'd be happy to take him on with either the prices. But I think Fury Road's an absolutely massive price. I mean, of course, he's an 8-year-old, but he's had his 2 runs over 3 miles have been extremely impressive. Last time out, I thought he was actually going to beat a Hoysignor at Aintree. I think he jumped absolutely delightfully. Of course, he destroyed One Wild Fred as well and Vanillier both over 3 miles on his last start over 3 miles. And I think, yes, he is an 8-year-old. 8-year-olds don't usually have the best record here, but of course he was third in the Bartlett as well. I think he relishes the 3 mile trip. I'm not too sure Capodanno does as such. I know he won last year over hurdles over 3 mile and routed a big handicap field here over 3 miles. But I think Fury Road at 15-2 is an absolutely cracking bet.
Yeah, I think I completely agree. And I said there as we were previewing the betting that he looks a really big price. And we were actually talking about this when we watched when we previewed the Mild Mate Aintree, Jack. And we had the 4 excellent runners in there, and we were kind of talking about the top 3, and then we both said just don't discount Fury Road in here. And he actually looked like he was travelling really strongly at one point, and he ran a really decent race. And I just think that potentially this race might actually be a lot easier. It does look a lot easier, even though there's more runners. But I think he's going to go very close, and 15-2 seems a fair price. So Jack and I both with Fury Road in that final race that we're going to be previewing on the Tuesday. Now let's move on to the Wednesday now. This is the 5:20 at Punchestown. This is a 3 mile novice hurdle. And the nice guy, your Albert Bartlett winner, is your 2-1 favourite in here. Manila Kakuna is 3-1. Manila Crooner is 6-1. Journey with me is 8-1. Bron is 9-1, and double figures bar those. I'll kick things off here, and I'll probably have to talk about Journey with me, because we all know I love this horse a hell of a lot before Cheltenham going into the Ballymore. Unfortunately, had a really nasty fall. I was right down at the last that day. It was hammering down with rain. Really nasty fall. It didn't look good at any stage, and I think Jack and I, when we reviewed the Cheltenham Festival, said that this horse got probably one of the cheers of the week when he got up. And I spoke to Rachel as she came in and said, look, he's up, and I think she's just looking forward to seeing him again. I think the yard hold this horse in very high regard, and I've got a feeling that potentially, I mean, a lot of people saying that the Albert Bartlett might have been better for this horse. I mean, Henry de Bromhead's obviously the one who makes the decisions, and obviously he thought this horse could win over 2.5, but maybe 3 miles is what this horse needs. I think this horse is an excellent bet for next year's Brown Advisory. The 3 mile novice chase seems to be an excellent chaser, but in here, do I think that he can win it? Potentially he could, but I think there are better horses, and we get to see Manila Crooner. And this is a horse that, Jack, I know that you liked quite a bit before Cheltenham. Unfortunately, I think it was a torn muscle. I might be wrong there, but that ruled this horse out. But I think he's going to prove himself to be the best 3 mile novice hurdler we've had this year. I just think he's very exciting. We look at that time prior to Cheltenham where he ran a race and his best work was coming in the last couple of furlongs. So we know this horse is just going to really relish this trip, and I think it will be run at a hell of a pace looking at some of the runners in here. And I just think that potentially Manila Crooner is going to be the one to beat. He's around 6-1, which I think is a fair price. Jack, what about yourself in here?
Yeah, I really fancy Manila Crooner for the Bartlett. I thought he had a cracking chance, but there's a couple of worries. Of course, you have the big setback, which of course has to be a worry, and also he just doesn't seem to jump a twig. I mean, when he was second to Journey with me, he couldn't jump at all the whole way around. Managed to stay on, then hacked up over 3 miles, and of course finished second to Manila Kakuna in the Nathaniel Lacey at the Dublin Racing Festival. Again, staying on at the line really nicely. But I just think there's probably going to be a hurdle or two where the others are now probably a little bit more experienced. They've got a couple more months under their belt than he does, of course, when he had the setback as well. So I probably will oppose him. The nice guy, of course, that step up to 3 miles, absolutely relished it in the Albert Bartlett. I think you do really have to respect him, but I think these 3 mile race, 3 mile grade ones, I think they're kind of a little bit of a lottery, especially as you get to the back end of the season. I'm a big fan of Paul Nolan's Daily Presence. Was second over 2 mile 3 on under Rule's debut, then hacked up over 2.5 miles, and then beat Bron when they went to cruel early doors over 2 miles 6 on heavy ground. Bron, of course, came out and won a grade 2 Simpson as a third of the price here. I mean, looking at Daily Present, he won over 3 miles in a point to point. Should register step up in trip. I think if he was trained by Willie Mullins, he'd be half the price he is. He's 20-1 at the moment. I think he looks an all right each way play.
Yeah, Daily President around sort of 20-1 shot, which I think is a fairly fair price. And I completely agree with Jack with Daily President, potentially if trained by someone like an Elliott or a Mullins, maybe a fair bit shorter, maybe a halved in price. But yeah, Jack, they have an each way bet with Daily President. I'm going to be with Manila Crooner, but I would love to see Journey with me show what he can do and get redemption for the fall at Cheltenham. Let's move on to the race after that. This is the 5:55. Now, this is probably the big race of the week. This is the Punchestown Gold Cup over 3 miles. And Allaho, this is it. This is the step up in trip for Allaho, 15-8. Favourite Clanders Oboe around 4-1. Manila Indo 9-2. Galvin 7-1. Fakir Dudari 10-1 and 11-1 bar and album photos included in that. Allaho's a fascinating one because I think this horse does stay, and I do think that he has gears. Do I think he's too short in a Gold Cup like this? I think potentially. I think Clanders Oboe last year's one, I think he's got an excellent chance in here. I really do. I think we look at the form of Nicholls' horses. I think he's going to run a mighty race. I want to say that Manila Indo, a lot of this horse's best work comes in the spring. I mean, he could run a big race considering there's no Aplu Tardan here this time. Galvin was a little bit frustrating at Cheltenham, you could say. A lot of people fancy this horse. He didn't go and do the business in the end, but he could come back to form. And Fakir Dudery, a horse now, as much as I've said this horse always wanted 2.5 miles, I actually think this horse won't mind this trip anymore. I actually think he's an excellent each way playing here. Obviously, he won the Marsh in good style at Aintree. That seems to be kind of his race. He skipped Cheltenham this year to go there, and it worked out right to plan. And I do think that this horse now does stay this 3 miles. I think he's actually a really good each way betting here at 10-1 looking at the field. I think, like you said, Jack, at the start of the video, a lot of these horses, we can get these shocks with regards to what happened with Colreevy last year, beating like some Monkfish and Envoy Len. I just think that potentially a few of these are going to flop just coming to the end of the season. I just think Fakir Dudery, he's going to come out, and I think he's going to run a decent each way bet. So I think he'd be my bet in here if I was going each way. But I think Clanders Obo's going to win it. Do you think Nichols could take it home, Jack?
No, I don't actually. I think he has a great chance. I just think I don't know how much the Betway Bowl's taken out of him. I mean, he was very brave that day. I didn't fancy him that day whatsoever. I think he does have another cracking chance. Allaho, I have to take him on. Of course, over 2.5 miles, he's clearly the best in Britain and Ireland. But goodness me, over 3 miles, he's 2-1 in this. And I kind of think these kind of Punchestown Gold Cups are very scratchy and a bit of a mess of a race, kind of to work out as it is from a punting point of view. You've got Manella Indo in there, who the Gold Cup was his big race all season, ran a great race, finished second behind a very impressive A Plus Tard. You have Clanders Obo, who again had a massive race in the Betway Bowl. How much has that taken out of him? You have Allaho, who's absolutely destructive, over 2.5 miles, and Fakir Dudery, I'm not too sure if 3 miles is going to suit. And I just think Galvin's a little bit overlooked at 7-1 at the moment. I mean, I'd probably tentatively stick my neck out for him. I mean, he's just been so consistent all year. When he was second to Frodon, of course, when he won the Savills, and then even with his fourth in the Gold Cup, I think the 3.25 miles just asked a little bit too much for him up the hill. I know he won, of course, the National Hunt Chase the year before, but this kind of quality was a huge step up. Of course, 3 miles around Punchestown is a lot of different tests as 3 mile 2 around Cheltenham. And I think it is going to suit him. Of course, he's won over the course and distance, and I think 7-1. He looks another cracking each way bet. I know I've got a few. We're going for each way bets left, right, and centre here, but I do think he's got a decent chance of a place.
Oh, it's better than just going with favourites throughout the whole video, Jack. That's something that I tend to do. And yeah, Jack's with Galvin. I'm hoping that I've seen the light with Clanders over, and talking about light, I think I could do with some. Right, on to the 6:30 at Punchestown on the Wednesday. Now, this is the final race we'll be previewing on the Wednesday. This is the race and stay at Punchestown Champion at National Hunt Flat Race. This is a Grade 1 over 2 miles. Obviously, we're getting better ground than we did at Cheltenham here, but Facile Vega is your 7th on favourite. American Mike, 130. Redemption Day should like the ground now, 8-1. Seabank Bristow is 8-1. Sandor Clegane is 20-1 and 33-1. Bar those, a couple of difficult ones for me to say, a bit of a challenge, but we move on. But I think the main focus is going to be potentially on the top 2, maybe the top 3 in here, Jack. But Facile Vega, I just think he's going to be very difficult to beat, isn't he?
Yeah, 100%. Look, I don't spend too much time on bumpers, especially as we're heading to the flat season now. We've got the Guineas this weekend, and here we are talking about a bumper, eh? But look, Facile Vega is probably going to be way too classy yet again. Will I be backing him at 8-13? Absolutely not. If I was going to have a bet, it would definitely be with Redemption Day again. Hated the ground in the champion bumper. I think he kind of just oozed class on debut on soft ground. I think this better ground will suit, and he is definitely the speedier type out of the two. So if it does kind of turn into a sprint finish, hopefully at around 9-1, a double figure price, he'll be able to give a good account of himself.
Yeah, it's one of those where I think Facile Vega potentially is. I think he's actually one of the best bump horses I've seen for the last few years, for sure. I think he's very exciting. I think over a hurdle, hopefully we see this horse really perform over a hurdle. He could be very exciting. American Mike, I could see potentially over sort of more the 2.5, 3 mile trip next season as a novice hurdler. But Facile Vega looks like he's got speed to burn. He's a really small horse. But yeah, I think Facile Vega is definitely the one that's going to go and win this. But I think Redemption Day at a price with Jody Town on at around 8-1 could be a decent each way play. Right, let's move on to the Thursday now. We're getting through this nice and swiftly. And this here, just give me 2 seconds, is the Stayers Hurdle, the Champion Stayers Hurdle. This is at 5:25 on the Thursday. And your favourite here is Classical Dream, which I don't quite understand, to be totally honest. But this horse is 7-4. Cider Burley 4-1. Paisley Park 9-2. The Devil's Coachman 6-1. Ashdale Bob and Gentleman's Game at 10-1. And looking at around 12-1. Bar those. Now, the reason I say the Classical Dream with regards to this horse being 7-4, I just think this is awfully short, because this horse here has his quirks. We know this. I know he did win this off a long layoff last season, but I just think that potentially this horse, he doesn't see out the trip as well as some other horses in this race. There's no doubt about that. I think there are plenty of other horses, the likes of Side Burla, who won last time out. This horse really does seem to love the springtime. Paisley Park, great to see Emma Lavelle keeping going with this horse for this season. I think he's going to run a real mighty race, but I actually really like the Devil's Coachman for Noel Mead. Out of the two JP McManus horses, I thought he ran a really decent race last time. He's in a bit of form as well. I think sort of, so far this season, we're looking at his form figures of 3-2-1. I think he can keep that running that streak going. I just like the fact that this horse is a course winner. I know he's not a course and distance winner like Classical Dream, but I think Classical Dream just won an easy race last time. And we go back and we look at his run. I think we're looking at Fairy House now. This was him in a beginner's chase, and he finished close to the likes of Saint Sam, who has really performed, and a horse that we'll probably get onto in a little bit to discuss. But I think he's got some really decent form in the book, and I think the Devil's Coachman around 6-1 seems like a fairly decent price. Noel Mead horses seem to be going fairly well at the moment, and I'd probably just take a small chance. It wouldn't be a horse that I'd be mad on, but I just think 6-1 might be a fair price. Jack, would you be taking on Classical Dream?
Yeah, 100%. I think you've hit the nail on the head. I've kind of been crying out for an unexposed angle in these stayers hurdle races for the whole season, and he hits that on the head. When you look at Classical Dream, I completely agree. If you look who was in behind him last year in this race, you've got James de Burley, who hasn't come out since. You've got Ronald Pump, who I think has been really disappointing. And then French Dynamite and Soul Pretender. It was by no means a really good affair, was it? If Paisley Park does come here, I'm not too sure if he is definitely going to come here or not. Yeah, I don't know if you know, but
I don't know officially, but I mean, it seems like it could be the plan.
yeah.
I'm
So
shocked.
if it is, I mean, he'll stay out of the trip. I mean, he'll probably be running on third or fourth. But Cider Burley, when he won over 2 mile 5 on heavy ground last time out, I thought that of course he kind of led on in the final strides of the race. I think he's crying out for this trip. I think the step out and trip should suit. And I think, as you say, 6-1, 8-1. It's not a race that I'm going to be getting too heavily involved with, but I think he'd definitely be the selection.
There we go. Both with the Devil's Coachman and the Noel Mead horse in the Stayers Herd. I think he could be a fairly decent bet in there. Let's move on to the final race we'll preview on the Thursday. Then this is 6:35 at Punchestown, 2 mile. This is the Barberstown at Castle Novice Chase, Grade 1. And Gentleman de Me is your 2-1 favourite here. Blue Lord 9-4. Gabby Nacco 5-2. Saint Sam, who I just mentioned, is 5-1. Auton Galeur is 8-1, and 14s bar these. And I suppose I'll just mention it now. I think Saint Sam is actually going to go and win this, and I'm fairly confident that he might actually go and do this. Obviously, this horse unseated at Cheltenham. I think there was an excellent picture actually after his unseat of him jumping the water jump with no jockey on board. Looked like he was absolutely loving it. And I know that you were a big fan of this horse, Jack, in the Arkle. Where unfortunately, you had a real torrid time with him. I don't want to remind you again, but you had a real torrid time. You had some real bad luck.
Stop it.
Chill. I think you picked out some good horses. I just think you got very unlucky, but it is what it is. But I think Saint Sam might go and we had plenty of these horses who have come out and given you a bit of fair justice, to be fair. And I think that Saint Sam might be one of them. And I think 5-1 is a fair price. Although I do think Gentleman to Me beating the Arkle winner in Edwardstone last time was very impressive. I just think potentially there might be a little bit of a kind of mini shock on the cards. I think Saint Sam might do. And what about yourself?
Yeah, I'm completely with you. We're actually agreeing on quite a lot this week. It's different. We've got Fury Road, the Devil's Coachman, and Saint Sam. I'm probably going to fall off the Saint Sam cliff until he goes and does me a bit of justice, and hopefully it will be here. I couldn't quite believe I was watching it up against the rail when he actually unseated, and I mean, of course, I forgot who it was who actually fell in front of him. But as soon as it happened, unfortunately, there wasn't really too much he could do. He was squeezed in on the rail. But I was just really, really impressed with his beginner's chase at Fairy House when he beat the Devil's Coachman. He led from the front, dictated in good style, and put the race to bed in really good style. Of course, when he was third next time out behind Blue Lord and Riviere de Tel, he led at way too quick a pace. And then it was interesting to see him actually settled in the rear of the field in the Arkle. So it'll be interesting to see what the tactics are with him. But I think, of course, Gabinaco does have to be well respected, as does Gentleman to Me. But I think at the price of Saint Sam, again, looks like a decent each way bet.
Okay, Saint Sam for myself and Jack, and what looks like a fairly exciting race that if they all do turn up. Hopefully they all do get declared, and we get to see that matchup, because I think it could be a really exciting race. Let's move on to the Friday now, the final race we're going to preview on this video, and this is the Paddy Power Champion Hurdle, 2 miles, 5:25. at Punchestown. Honeysuckle is currently 5-1 on favourite in here. Epatant's 5-1 the other way. Samurai is 12-1. Tiapu is 12-1. Adagio 25-1. Durasso 33s, and Echoes in Rain. And we can all try and take her on once again in here, but I just think this is an opportunity where you just don't do anything and you just sit back and watch this. I mean, I would love to see Adagio run a much better race than he did at Cheltenham. Potentially, if there was a potential of anyone sort of paying free places or a place market for free places in here, I know we've only got the 7 runners, but if you get free places and he was a fair price, I think him filling out potentially a place would be a decent price and a decent bet. But I'm just going to let Honeysuckle be here. I think she's going to go and win this with ease. I actually think if Constitution Hill was in here, I think she'd still win it this season. I think that would change potentially in the Champion Hurdle next season where Constitution Hill becomes a better horse. I think they've done the right thing with that horse and they've avoided this matchup for now. But hopefully we'll see it again next year. We'll see it for the first time next year. Jack, you're probably in the same opinion. We just sit back and watch the Queen here. I mean, it would have been nice to see Constitution Hill, but again, they've done the right thing, haven't they?
Yeah, I think so completely. I mean, I think there was a lot of unjustified negativity towards Constitution Hill being withdrawn. He's a novice. Taking on Honeysuckle, giving us £7 is a little bit different to winning a Supreme, where you have Jean Bon 22 lengths in your wake after your 3rd run under rules. I mean, I think it's a little bit ridiculous that it was kind of put to the question. Of course, people will want to see these big matchups. They're kind of glorified and hyped up, and that completely makes sense to me. But I think they've completely done the right decision. Usually I try and find something to beat Honeysuckle or something without Honeysuckle, and this time I'm not going to. I'm just going to hopefully sit back and admire her for what she is, and that is the queen of racing.
Yeah, she just is, and it'd be really exciting to go see win once again. I can say now, if Goshen did come over, I'd probably still have a bet on him. But yeah, no, he's not this year. So Honeysuckle's going to go and win this with ease, in my opinion. I think Epatant has run some really good races recently and proved a lot of people wrong. And I don't know whether her plan is to actually go here or go to the Mayor's Champion Hurdle. But yeah, look, I just think Honeysuckle will go and win this by as far as she wants. Right, let's go on to our naps and next best. Before we get into our naps and next best, Jack and I will be covering more of the Punchestown racing on our weekend preview. That'll be with you on Friday, along with our Guineas preview. So yeah, do look out for that. We haven't just kind of finished with the Punchestown preview, but I think we're just going to cover the first 4 days, or roughly where some horses are going. But let's go into our naps and next best. I'll kick things off with my next best this week, and that is going to come in the Champion Chase, and I think that Chacun Pour Soi is going to shock Energamine. He's not a massive price, I know, but I think he's going to go and win that Champion Chase. Jack, who's your next best this week?
The next best is going to be Magic Days in the 4:15 on the Thursday in a Grade B handicap chase. I think he's got a great mark there, and hopefully, I don't know what price at the moment, but hopefully Magic Days can do me a good job.
Yeah, we'll put up starting price and hopefully you get a big price on the day, Jack. Magic Days, potentially a good bear horse that I've actually quite liked to have in a notebook, I think, sometimes. So yeah, hopefully that one goes in for you. And on to our naps, and my nap comes from a place that I will be on Wednesday, and I am going to Ascot for the Royal Ascot Trials Day. So I've had a little look at the card. I haven't had a detailed look, but I've had a look especially at the highlight on the card, which is the Cigaro Stakes at 3:35 at Ascot. This is a Gold Cup trial, and I really like Aidan O'Brien's Wordsworth in here. At around 7-2, I think it's a fairly fair price. I know the horse is taking on Princess Zoe, who another horse I just don't really warm to. I know that she's a bit of a people's horse, but just not a horse that I've really warmed to. And taking on Tashcan, who was second, obviously in October on Champions Day behind Trusham. But Wordsworth, ever since the Irish St. Leger, where this horse went off favourite, but finished 5th, I think, that day. The horse just kept staying on. I think this horse is crying out for kind of a Gold Cup trip, and the further they go, the better this horse could be. The last day when winning at Garum Park, I thought the horse was ultra impressive. He won those horses where I think with an Aidan O'Brien runner will come on tons for the run. Aidan O'Brien's actually going at a really good strike rate at the record at the moment, but I think that this horse here is only going to continue that, and I think he's a fair price, 7-2 in the Cigaro Stakes, and that is Wordsworth. Jack, who's your nap this week?
The nap is going to come in the Wednesday in the 4:15. It's the auction hurdle, and I think Freedom's Dream is almost thrown in there for Peter Farr. He, of course, was second to Eric Bloodaxe in the Jaguar Land Rover hurdle, who I really fancied Eric Bloodaxe as well for the Bartlett when he disappointed and finished 4th at the Dublin Racing Festival in the Grade 1 there before finishing 4th in the Martin Pipe. His Irish mark is £2 lower, and I'll be very surprised if he doesn't put in a bold performance in the 4:15 on Wednesday.
Freedom to Dream. I've actually seen this horse put up a fair bit over the last few days. So yeah, Freedom to Dream for Jack as his nap of the week. Hopefully there'll be decent prices for you, Jack, when they open up. I'm sure we'll tweet out when we can actually get a price on them. They'll be on the video as an SP, as you can see on screen, but we'll put up our naps and next best as a separate tweet with the prices once they are out. And that is it for our official Punchestown Festival preview. We're actually going to be back with you tomorrow with our flat anti-pose video. We might give you a couple of horses early for the Guineas, but we'll also be looking at some horses to follow later in the season, a few for some specific races such as the Derby, maybe the Ledger, maybe the Arc, but we'll have a few horses noted down, and you guys can kind of follow if you wish. But yeah, we're looking forward to bringing you that. But yeah, do subscribe if you are enjoying the content. Give the video a like, comment down below with your nap of the Punchestown Festival. Do check out Star Sports in the description, and we will see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.